Heritage is going to take on Grafton on Wednesday. Pioneers haven't been to the state semis since back in the early 2000s. 2 heartbreaking losses in the state semis to Greensville County. Dan Stevens looking to change the fortunes and get Heritage to their first state final. They got to get by the Grafton Clippers first. Dan Stevens talked about his team turning points, swinging points of the year, as well as breaking down the roster as a whole. Dan Stevens on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Talking to the biggest Baylor fan in Lynchburg and also the head coach of the Heritage Pioneers, Dan Stevens. Baylor still playing, and obviously Heritage is still playing, which is a good thing. Coach, I think if a lot of people said name a Seminole District team that will still be playing in March, you might not have been the first choice or even the second choice. Talk about some of the keys that you guys have had that is allowing you to still be playing.
Yeah, probably a month ago, and probably wouldn't have been my first pick either. But I think there was a point at which our kids kind of looked themselves in the mirror and recommitted themselves to finishing this thing right. And we won a couple of games and got a little momentum going. And momentum's a pretty powerful thing. And started to believe in ourselves a little bit, and it just kind of snowballs from there. So I don't think you can point to one thing, but I think it was an internal in terms of the commitment level our kids basically stepped up to.
At the beginning of the year, what were you expecting out of this group?
Well, we knew that they had potential to be really good. We were looking for a development in terms of maturity, really, in a lot of the kids, and just an understanding of what it takes to be a championship caliber player and team. And it was kind of a process, and we weren't there earlier in the year, and we played a tough schedule early in the year too, and I think in the long run that helped us a little bit. But as I was saying, it was a gradual process, but our kids began to believe a little bit, and the maturity came as well. And we're a work in progress. We're not there yet, but this group has made great strides in that direction.
What do you think turned it around? I mean, I'm looking at the season results of just the regular season. You guys had dropped 5 straight, but really didn't get hammered in many of those, especially, the last 3 to Amherst, Monticello, and Rustburg. You lose 3 games by a combined total of 13 points. Yeah,
that's been characteristic of our whole season. We haven't really blown out anybody, maybe with one exception, and we haven't been blown out. The games have been tight for the most part. Early in the year, it seems like we would come up just short. A break would go against us, or we would fail to create a break for ourselves. And as we got things going a little bit, and the confidence level grew, we were on the other end of that. On a regular basis, we were making a play down the stretch and creating some breaks for ourselves. So, when 13 guys begin to believe the same thing and are all pushing towards the same goal, sometimes they can create a wave, and that's kind of what's happened for us.
Let's review the last 2, with that being the regional final against Amherst and then the state quarter against Hidden Valley. Take me through both those games, starting with the one against your Seminole District foe, the Lancers.
Well, the key to that game, obviously, for us was getting off to a quick start. It's something that we haven't done or hadn't done previously. There were probably 2 of the 3 we played against them previously, but we were just horrible in the first half and tried to dig our way out of a hole and came up just short. And I think we were up 13-0 in the first quarter, and even though Amherst did eventually get back almost even, we know from experience when you have to come back from that kind of a deficit, you expend a whole lot of energy, and I think they ran out of it a little bit down the stretch, and so the quick start was important, but really, down the stretch, we've done a much better job of rebounding. That's been really a big key for us. Our defense has gotten a lot better. We're relying on each other a lot more and helping each other out. And we're taking care of the ball a lot better. And I think those things were true in that Amherst game for sure. coming up against Hidden Valley, they're a veteran team, a lot of seniors, a team that's had a whole lot of experience on the state level, and a very confident group, smart team, well coached, and we knew that we were going to have to do those things. I was talking about the rebounding, the ball security, and so forth, and the stat sheet tells us that as a team we had 5 turnovers, which is a tremendous step forward for us, and we created 18 turnovers. So it was, against Hidden Valley particularly, just one of the better defensive efforts that one of my teams have ever put out there, and particularly in the second half. And I know Malik Williams, one of the Hidden Valley kids in the paper, said that they're a second half team, which I guess is something they had talked about, and that's kind of is what we've become down the stretch. Our kids are, they're not afraid of the moment, and they step up in big moments and make plays, and it's something they've had all along, but it's beginning to come out on a consistent basis now.
Yeah, shame somebody had to lose that game, because I think highly of you and Coach Wells, 2 classy people, and like you said, anytime you're going to match up against Troy Wells, I don't care if it's back in the day with the Martinsville team or with the Hidden Valley team, they're going to be well coached.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've done it late in the season on a consistent basis, and I think their kids expect to win, which always makes for a really tough opponent, and that's one reason it was such a gratifying win for us.
Do you think your kids expect to win yet?
Yeah, I do. They really believe in each other and in themselves and in our common goal right now. And I think it's just something that comes with success. And the more you have, we've won 9 out of the last 10. Now, when it gets down to the end, they start expecting something good to happen rather than a reverse, which may have been the case early in the year.
The experience of Heritage in the state semifinals at the Siegel Center consists of you and Les Cam, to the best of my knowledge. Talk about, the guys getting adjusted to the floor. How long do you think it'll take in terms of, granted you guys have an open building, but VCU, big floor, open building, how long do you think it could take to adjust?
Well, hopefully by the time warm-ups are over. And I guess one positive is being able to play that last game in Salem, which is a similar setup, with the deep backdrop behind the baskets, and so it's something that they've had a game experience with, and I think that they'll step up and play hard, and after a few minutes in, they'll forget about the surroundings and just play basketball.
As a coach, what have you learned in your previous state semifinal appearances?
Well, one thing I think is that you have to, as a team, have enough intelligence to adjust to the officials. And there's obviously adjusting you do with your opponent, but you're seeing officials from different parts of the state, and the game is called a little differently in different areas of the state. Some places are a little more tight with their calling, and some kind of let the kids play, so to speak, a little more, and you kind of have to get a feel for that early on and adjust the way you're playing a little bit as a result of that. And then the other thing is you have to savor the moment and enjoy the experience of being there, but you've got to be really tough-minded and focused on the fact that you're just playing a basketball game, and you've got 32 minutes to come out in front, and you've got to execute and do those things that you've been doing all year long, and not try to be something that you're not, and to play outside yourself, and that's going to be key for us.
Do you think your kids understand that this is a business trip?
Yeah, I think so. We're kind of in a routine right now, and I think that we're not spending the night up there. I think that's a good thing. We're just getting on the bus in the morning and heading up, and it'll just be a regular game day situation for us. Albeit they get to miss school, which they're excited about. But I think that that they understand what the goal is, and they understand this is a great opportunity that they don't want to let slip through their fingers.
12:15 is not your average start time for a high school basketball game. And granted, Grafton's got to play at the same time as you do, but any worry about that?
Not really. I guess in the Christmas tournament in Charlottesville, we had an early start, and so it's something we've done before, and I think we've got 3 busloads of kids from Heritage going up, and I think they'll kind of add to the atmosphere and encourage our kids and as we try to get it going there early on. But, I think once we get in that arena and the ball goes up, the time will be pretty irrelevant. I think we're just going to play ball like we have been doing.
A few more questions before we break down your team. If you win, you turn around and play Saturday night at 9. Do you like the fact that you've got that little bit of a buffer to get ready for Christiansburg or Potomac Falls if you're fortunate enough to get past Grafton?
Oh, definitely. There have been several times, I think, where they had double A playing Friday night and then again on Saturday night.
Right.
It's not totally fair. I think having a couple of days in between allows you to do a little bit of scouting and preparation and let your kids recover a little bit, and you have a truer, more legitimate matchup, I think, in that final in that regard. So I think that's good for whoever advances, hopefully for us.
How much, if you guys could get past Grafton and then maybe get a win on Saturday, can that erase all bad memories of the Siegel Center? And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, honestly, the bad memories are gone already. I mean, there's so much that happens throughout the course of the season, and we had one particularly tough loss there, and people still talk about it to me, still bring it up from all over the state and how that all went down at the end. But it's a new group of kids. They don't have any clue about what happens then, and it's been many miles since that point, and so for the most part, that was an experience that it was great to be a part of. It ended sadly, but this is a new group and a new dream, and we're looking forward to pursuing it with them.
So basically, all those years of therapy have paid off.
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it.
Let's talk a little bit about Grafton. They're from the other end of the state in a Region 1 team. What do you know about Jeremy Jordan's Clippers?
Well, we have been able to find out a little bit about them. Obviously, they're really good, which you would expect this time of year. We know that they've got a 6'6" leader in the middle, Elijah Moore, who can make the three-point shot pretty consistently, and it's been a pretty complete player for them this year. And we know they've got 2 or 3 kids who can score and shoot on the perimeter, and they're very balanced offensively and pretty athletic, and in a way kind of similar to us. I think there's some similarities between us, and at this point, I guess it comes down to execution, for both teams, and we're going to find out pretty soon, I guess, how we match up, but hopefully it'll be a good matchup for us.
Would you rather your guys not know as much about the other group in terms of, if you were playing, i.e. if you play Christiansburg, you're going to know a little bit about them just because you saw them probably a little bit the other night when they played Amherst. They're more local. But do you like the fact that to your kids, Grafton's an unknown and stuff's not going to get in their head, so to speak?
Yeah, that might be a factor that could be a positive, I guess. There are some things they need to know about tendencies and what they like to do best, and hopefully be able to slow some of those things down. But it really comes down to your own execution. I think for both teams, we've got to do what we do best and do it to the best of our abilities, and then hope it's good enough. So I do believe our kids don't need to get too caught up into who they are, how good they are, and and we need to focus on what we do and doing that the best we can.
Before we get into personnel, and we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier, but if you had to pin down one moment that was the turning point that got this ball rolling, downhill, uphill, however you want to look at it, in terms of getting you guys on the right track, what's that turning point?
I think a real high point probably was, we finished the regular season against Glass, and that's always such an emotional game. And we won that district finale at home, and then we turned right back around, back-to-back, played them in the first round of the tournament, and won that one in overtime. And I think winning those two games, were played at such a high level of intensity and such emotion, I think there was a lot of confidence that came through those two wins, and I think we were able to carry that on to the region tournament. I mean, certainly none of those wins were easy. Harrisonburg was, their record wasn't great, but a really strong team and pushed us to the limits. And then Broadway, I thought Broadway is as good as any team we've seen. And so that was a really tough advancement there, and then the Amherst game. So probably those back-to-back games against Glass, I think, really gave us that shot of confidence that we needed to kind of propel us going through this.
Let's break down the Pioneers now. Name a player on your team. You just tell me what he brings to the table or whatever. I'll let you do your best, Dick Vitale or Doug Gottlieb, or you pick your favorite analyst here, and we'll start. And if I mispronounce any names, please correct me. We'll start with number 2, Altario Baker.
Altario's a sophomore, and he actually played a little bit for us on the varsity level last year as a freshman, but he's a kid that hasn't been healthy really for 2 years. He's had an injury during the football season. Both years he hurt his knee this year, and he ended up having surgery on it around Christmas time this year, and still not back to full speed. It's slowed him down a little bit, which, speed is a big part of his game. So he's a guy that we have big hopes for in the future. He hasn't gotten a whole lot of opportunity for playing time. He hasn't been active for about half the season, but we think he's going to be a really good one.
Number 3, Jesse Daniels.
Jesse came to us from New Jersey this past offseason, moved in to town, and he's one of our 3 seniors, and been a really inspirational player for us. Played extremely hard, probably you would call our defensive specialist. But he's also hit some big 3-point shots for us at big moments. And as a kid that just plays all out all the time, and you really need a player like that for a team that's going to go deep into a season.
Number 5, Theodore Turpin.
Theodore, or TT as we call him, was a late season call-up from the JV. He played the entire season with the JV team. We brought him up during tournament time. And he's a kid with a lot of ability, and we think going into next year he's going to be a big contributor for us.
Number 10, Malik Tyree.
Well, Malik has developed into one of the better point guards, and certainly in our part of Virginia. He's a kid who, during the off-season, worked extremely hard on his jumping ability. He's probably number 2 on the team in dunks this year. He's a kid whose jump shot has improved. He's good at getting his own shot and being a scorer when we need him to. But he's also become much better at distributing the ball and finding the open man and creating shots for his teammates. Malik's got a chance to be a special player, and he's been a real leader for us on the floor. And we get him for one more year, so we're excited about where he is and where he's going as well.
Number 11, Quinn Trent.
Quinn has been a real bright spot for us this year. He has the capability of being probably the best jump shooter in the district. And he's had his moments over the last couple of years. He played a good bit last year for us as well on the varsity. He has a really nice stroke as far as being a jump shooter. Early in the year, that was kind of the limit of his game. He was a 3-point shooter, and when it wasn't falling, he kind of lost effectiveness. And we challenged him a little bit to develop into something more than that, and he's exceeded our expectations. He's become one of our better rebounders. He's been really solid on defense, and really has been one of the vocal leaders for us on the floor. Yeah, he's a smart kid, and he knows where people are supposed to be, and he's constantly helping his teammates in that area, and it's been a really solid development for us late in the season. Nobody's been more responsible for our rise late in the year as Quentin has.
Number 12, DeMontez Hamlet.
DeMontez, sophomore, has worlds of ability. He's been probably our first guy off the bench here in the second half of the season. He's gotten some starts this year. He actually played for us as a freshman also last year. Kid who is obviously still developing and growing as a player, really good off the dribble, is capable of hitting a three-point shot. And as he continues to develop, I think he's going to be one of the best players in this area.
Number 15, Malcolm Davis.
Malcolm is one of our three seniors and primary backup to Trey Glenn's. And Malcolm is just one of those kids who really battles, and he'll get tough rebounds for us. His offensive game has developed throughout the course of the year, and he's capable of scoring off the interior pass, and just plays extremely hard on both ends of the floor, and it's given us some real quality minutes off the bench.
Number 21, Omar Jones.
Omar's a junior, and it's his first year on varsity. Just a tremendous kid, and got a lot of athletic ability. One of our better wide receivers on the football team this year. And we think Omar has a chance to be really good as well. He's had a great team attitude all year for us, and has been a big part of what we've done.
Number 22, Jeremy Hill.
Jeremy is grown a tremendous amount both as a player and as a young man this year. He's been our leading scorer. He has special ability. He's got the ability to take over a game from time to time. And I think we talked earlier about just the importance of maturing as young men, and I think that that's happened a lot for Jeremy this year. And he's starting to understand how good he can be, and it's been a fun thing to watch. He's got special ability, and we think he's going to be a really special player.
Number 23, Justin Joyner.
Justin is, he's blood and guts. He's a sophomore who actually started for us a lot as a freshman last year, and nobody plays harder than Justin. Nobody gets more out of that 5'7" frame than he does. He's another one of our little guys who work really hard on his jumping ability in the off season to conduct the ball easily now. He goes up and gets tough rebounds when we need it. Justin is a kid who plays really well in the clutch too. He constantly makes plays when the game is on the line, be it on the defensive end or offensively. I think he's one of the most overlooked players in our area right now, and we're lucky to have him.
Number 35, Trey Grooms.
Trey, one of the third of our seniors, has been a kind of a stabilizing influence for us, particularly on the defensive end all year long. He's given us a little bit of a post presence. It's been a few years since we've had that, and Trey, just an innate shot blocker. He's probably not even 6'5", but and he's not one of the taller postmen in the area, but he's got some length on him, and he jumps extremely well and has great timing, and he blocks shots, he alters shots, and he erases a lot of mistakes for us, kind of as the backline of that defense. He's also pretty well known for being a great dunker, and he does that pretty well as anybody we've ever had. So just to give us that inside presence on both ends of the floor, Trey's been huge in what we've done this year.
Number 45, B.J. Cobbs.
DJ's a junior. It's his first year on varsity, and he's one of the guys that hasn't gotten a lot of playing time, particularly late in the year, because of the seniors who play inside in front of him. But we think that as soon as his off season begins, DJ is going to step up to the front line and is going to be a key player for us going forward. Yeah, he's got a pretty good jump shot. He can step out and hit the jump shot, and he's pretty adept inside as well. Good rebounder, and I think he's got a bright future for us.
And finally, number 55, Quentin Massey.
Quentin, along with D.T. Turpin, was a end of the season call up from the JV squad. Played the whole year with them. He's got some good size. His older brother is about to go in the NFL draft as an offensive lineman, and so he comes from an athletic family, and we think Quentin is going to be a really good post player for us. I think he's just now starting to understand how good he's capable of being, and his work ethic is really become much stronger, throughout the course of this year, and he's got a chance to be a front-line big man in our district going into next season.
Final thing for you, Coach, as always, appreciate the time. Some people might remember some of those state semifinal teams we talked about earlier that had Don Alexander, Frisco Sandage, Pierre Penn. I could go on and on. Give me maybe a comparison and give me a big difference between this group and some of your other groups that have reached the Final Four.
I think as far as the difference, maybe there's probably a difference in expectations going into the year. These kids had not really experienced that level of success before. And it's a little bit new for them still. And I think it maybe took a little longer for them to begin to believe that they could be good at that level, because it's something that hadn't been done in their experience before anyway. As far as similarities, I think the similarity is these kids have the same dream that those did. They want to be the best. They want to be the one standing in the winner's circle on that last night, and I think that's pretty common for every high school kid. They want to be labeled a champion, and I'm gratified that these kids have the opportunity to pursue that. And we're a couple of wins away, and obviously that's each game would be extremely difficult, but it's great to see their hard work pay off and for them to have the opportunity to pursue that dream.
Well, Coach, I'm sure nothing would make you happier than to sit in the media room Saturday night at 11:15, 11:30ish, answering questions about what does this trophy mean to you. But we got to get past Grafton before that happens. Best of luck on Wednesday, and we'll see you in Richmond.
Thanks, Bob.
Dan Stevens on the Sports Buffet.